Hi, this is Tracy Taylor. We've decided to do a candidate forum where the candidates can come and talk to us, and hopefully this will be beneficial to you voters out there that are looking at their ballots not quite sure who to vote for. So today our first candidate is Kelleen Potter. She's running for mayor, and I want to thank you for coming because this is, we're hoping it's beneficial to the voters. So this
I
is
think
one
it's a
more
great
way
idea.
for we can help you get your story
Yeah.
out to people. So
Thank you.
on first case, what made you decide to run for mayor?
Well, I had some people kind of nudge me along, the people that talked to me into running for city council. I've always been in government. I've taught government, I've worked in government, I've studied government, but I never intended to run for office until some good friends said, hey, why don't you do it? And so I did, and I've really enjoyed the city council. I just have a different view of the role of mayor than our current mayor, and I think, hey, I might as well put it out there for the voters to decide what they think should be the role of our mayor.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
What you think you would bring to the table. Being on the city council for 4 years, you probably thought you might bring some qualities to the mayoral office. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I guess my main, that there's three things I guess I can narrow it down to of why I think I would be a good mayor. And the one of them is my education. I have a bachelor's degree in political science, and I taught high school and taught government for a while, and then I was recruited to go work for Governor Levitt, and I was the director of elections for the state. So I've had that experience, and then I also went and got an MPA degree, Master's of Public Administration, where I had a great experience learning about how we can be more data driven, how we can look at the data and say, is our budget bringing us the outcomes that we want? Are we focusing on our priorities? And as I listened to other city officials and people who are studying the best practices in public administration, I got a lot of good information and experience in that. My second one is experience. I have had some experience, like I mentioned, working for the Governor Levitt back in the day. It's been a while. I'm currently on the board of the Utah League of Cities and Towns, where about 15 elected officials throughout the state, mayors, city council members, run the organization that helps city officials do their jobs better. Recently, we've been trying to adopt some personnel policies and practices to help cities struggling with various issues. We've met with the state auditor, so I've learned a lot about how to do that, and that's another. And then the third one is engagement. I feel like it's really important for a mayor to be engaged in the community, to communicate and bring back information to the council and say, in our form-based code process, I feel like a good mayor would be in front of that, saying, hey, whoa, wait a minute, council, you need to realize the public is not okay with this. Let's steer it this way. Let's bring it back. I think as a proactive mayor, we could get better results in our city government.
There's a few issues that are really Heber City's facing right now, one of which is the expansion of Heber City, the annexation. I know Heber City's looking at their annexation map right now. So my question is, what's your philosophy of Heber City? How, where do you think Heber City should expand or maybe not expand? And how does that really help the existing citizens that already live in Heber City?
Great question. This is so early in the process that I honestly can't say whether it's the right or the wrong thing to expand, particularly because whether we annex or not, that population is going to happen. That development is happening because the county has given the right to those property owners to develop to a certain level. And what I'm told is 17,000 would be the population. So whether we do anything or not with our boundaries, that's happening. What I think is important and what the state law requires us to do is to analyze who's going to provide those services and what is the impact on the tax rate of the current city residents, which I agree with you. We need to look at that. But are we going to have that impact our city in a way that we're providing services, police service, people shopping in our stores and roads, where it makes us pay more for what we already have? Or would it mean that they would have the commercial development in that area and it wouldn't be as much of an impact on Heber City? I think for me, a lot of the decision would be based on the numbers. What does that look like? Would we get a lot of second homes and it would supplement our income and help help our city thrive and help us to be able to strengthen our downtown, or would it be something that draws away from our existing city? So to me, a lot of the data is not being collected. I haven't even seen the plan. I don't know how much of it is second homes, how much of it is commercial, and what that impact would likely be to Heber City. So to me, it's all about protecting the city we have and making sure it's thriving and financially stable.
Do you think now's a good time to alter the annexation map? I know there's possible areas that Heber City's really looking to possibly annex in. Is this a good time for Heber City, considering maybe some of the challenges we have as a city right now, where our planning departments, maybe our infrastructure needs to be upgraded in some areas? Is this a good time to be considering to expand?
Well, I don't know that. I think when private property owners come to the city and say we're interested in annexing, then I don't know that we get to time that right. I don't know that the city gets to say no, because it's happening either way. I mean, it's probably not I don't know. I can't honestly say if it's a good time, because I think it's developing whether we like it or not. And let's say that the city had said, no, this isn't a good time, we don't want red ledges. Well, everyone would be paying higher taxes right now if we didn't have red ledges.
Well, and I guess my question then, the last part of that question was, how does this benefit the existing residents that already live here? So we have about 14,000 people in Heber City. Right. How are their taxes going to be affected by these annexations? And really, is this a good time to impact those existing residents?
Well, that's the most important question, is how will it impact them? And if it hurts them, then we shouldn't do it. But if it helps them, then we should do it. But we don't know yet, because we haven't seen the plan, we haven't seen the numbers. The city council has, that I'm aware of. We have not received anything to see what that plan looks like. We've just said people are asking, and we're saying this is happening whether we annex or not. We should see if it's going to help us or hurt us. Some people who've been in other communities say, oh, you should annex, and other people say, no, you shouldn't. I haven't seen the data yet.
Is the city planning on doing a fiscal analysis of what these annexations, how they might impact the city?
Well,
is the city itself going to do the fiscal analysis?
Well, we in Title 10 in the Utah Code, there are several questions that are asked that should be a part of an annexation policy. And those questions are part of that. What you're saying, what would be the financial impact? And I assume before I would ever vote on anything, I would say, yeah, we need to see all of that data.
Great. On the airport, let's move on to the airport. There's people that are very concerned about a possible airport expansion in the future and working with the FAA. Do you have any thoughts about that? Where are we right now with the airport, and how do you feel about airport expansion?
Okay. I feel like the airport in some ways is like Main Street. It's a sign of the growth of our area. It's a sign of the desirability of our area. And so now we are facing all of this traffic coming into our airport, and by FAA standards, we haven't done a master plan update, but we might meet the criteria by FAA standards to enlarge our airport to a C2 airport. We're now a B2 airport. Nobody wants air pollution here. Nobody wants a lot of loud noises. So there's a lot of variables, but we've already signed 27 agreements in the history of Heber City with the airport, saying to the FAA, okay, we'll take your money. And the FAA says, okay, here's your money, but you've got to do 27 things in the future. They're called grant assurances. That if we take that grant, we promise we'll keep operating this airport indefinitely. We'll do all these things. And so now we're in this impasse where in the past, I think people went, great, look at our successful airport. We're so great, we have an airport. And now people are going, whoa, this isn't what we wanted. So we're coming to this growing pains place where I've been told from that the FAA, as far as pressuring us to upgrade, we're at say you could rate that from 1 to 10, we're at a 3. And as the traffic continues and gets bigger and bigger, that pressure will increase. Now, what they want us to do is do a master plan update, where we would say, okay, here we are, and here's the number of flights, and if we upgraded, here's what would happen. But we all know that we could not expand that airport without impacting another jurisdiction, Daniel. I've been also told that the FAA has not required a city to to use eminent domain to acquire property to expand their airport. And I'm hoping that that will be the thing that enables us to show them once and for all that this is all the airport our city can handle. We have no desire to take out a road or take out homes in another city. And hopefully with the master plan update, according to some advice we've heard, that we possibly could show that, and it would put an end to the conversation.
Is there a deadline for that master plan update? Don't we have to do it in the next year or two?
Well, we're beyond the time they wanted us to do it, and now we're being told that there's certain funding that the FAA gives that we will not receive any further until we do the master plan update. So we're in this place where we've got to make a decision how to handle it.
How are we going to go forward as a community to get the public involved in that, and give them a heads up that this is getting close now. We have to really start thinking about this.
One of the requirements of the master plan update is public hearings.
Good.
And I think at that point it will be big. It will be, we're going to have this meeting and this meeting and this meeting, and here's the map and here's all the details. And I think at that point the public would have a lot of opportunity, and I think that would be part of the master plan update, to say here's the feelings of this community. We live here.
Right.
And this valley was designed for a certain number of people, and I think at that point all of this information would be on the table, and hopefully that would be the last conversation about that update.
Let's move on to the bypass.
Oh yes, the bypass.
So where are we right now with UDOT, and how do you feel about a bypass? Are you for moving the traffic off of Main Street, or do you think we might lose some of our downtown merchant vitalization if we move it off of Main Street? What's your thoughts on that?
So where we are is, for the first time, UDOT's putting some money into a study. They're currently studying to say, hey, does Heber City need a bypass? Are we willing to spend money on a bypass? Now, in the meantime, the city and the county have already charted a route for the bypass and have been protecting that land with corridor preservation funds. So UDOT will come back at some point, I don't know exactly when that is, and tell us their opinion about our need and what they're willing to do with our bypass. I have heard most people that I've talked to and I've heard from are in favor of a bypass because there's so much traffic that it's not user friendly. Our main street is not attractive or desirable, and business owners say we want people to stop, but some people feel like it's not even safe to stop because there's big trucks and they want to, they don't want to let their kids out of the back, and so I think most people that I've heard from feel like a bypass would be a good thing. Now currently the bypass is only planned to go off of as people come in from Park City and they're cutting through to go to Provo. That's the people that it would serve. Right now there's not a corridor preserved to go for the trucks that would go all the way to Vernal, which that's something that I think is really important, that I hope we continue to pursue that, because it would be really nice to ultimately, if truck traffic is not intending to stop here, let's give them a way to just go right around. But there are some, I've heard recently just a few people that say, no, we don't want people to go off Main Street. But there are cities that we've seen in Utah and other places, what's the movie? Route, what's that movie where the cars stop? They don't stop anymore and the town dies. Help me.
Route 66.
Yeah. So I don't think we don't have the same dynamic. It's not like we're going to die off if the cars go around us. So we're still a destination. People still are going to come here. A lot of it is locals. I think that, and without any data, I don't know, but I think the majority of the community would prefer an opportunity for the traffic just passing through to get off and slow down our main street, make it more walkable. I've seen an overlay that some Foothill Drive in Salt Lake City, I guess they pushed UDOT for 3 years and they allowed them to make it a boulevard and have trees in the middle. I know that brings up a lot of questions, but there's got to be some things that they'll allow us to do to maintain the character and the quality of our main street, because it's the center of our town and everyone is impacted by it, and it's the front door to Heber, and we've got to do something to make it more inviting, more beautiful, and more vital for our business owners.
Did UDOT say how long that study is going to take for them?
I haven't heard. They may have said, but I have not heard that. I don't know.
We've been seeing a lot of construction going on. You've been repairing or replacing infrastructure. We've also seen some water fees and sewer fees go up over the last couple of years. Can you give us an update on and what your thoughts are of how to finance some of this infrastructure challenges that we have in Heber City?
Well,
how's that for you?
Yeah, that's a mouthful. Okay, we do have infrastructure challenges, and we are seeing our rates go up. Some of those rates are, whenever we've had to raise rates, I've thought, I don't know how much it costs to replace a pipe more than what our experts tell us. We have engineers and we have all these people that bring us information, and we make the best decision based on what we have. I call my family that lives in other places in Utah, particularly in Utah, because I think that's more comparable, and say, well, how much are you paying for water? How much are you paying for sewer? And initially I found that, we're still pretty low. And not that that's a reason to raise rates, but it makes me think, okay, this is what it costs. And somehow because we have aging infrastructure, it costs more money to replace these things than just to provide a service. And so we are raising the rates. We have not done any, we always look at it and we say, how can we save money? Some of it is just the cost. As everything increases, it costs more to buy food, it costs more to buy cars, things just go up. But I don't know. I don't know if you're saying, are there ways to get other money? And we always try to get grant money. We get CDBG grants, typically community development block grants, for when we try to put in a new line. And we have been successful at subsidizing that with some grant money. But I think we're coming closer to where we're not going in the hole every time. And we're talking about funding depreciation so that in the future we don't have to go, oh, we got to raise rates. This will be something that's ongoing where we've incorporated it into the budget. That's my hope, is that we can incorporate it more so that people, it's predictable. It's, we can say, look, here's what my rates are going to be. The city's, funding depreciation, so when this line breaks, we're able to replace it, and we don't have to say, oh, we got to raise rates, so we got to replace these lines. But we do need to figure and this is a bigger question, as far as our downtown and trying to, because a lot of this is going to happen at the same time. Right now we're starting to see bits and pieces of it, but we're going to have some big numbers coming in on our downtown, and we've got to come up with a big plan to deal with that. And some of that plan would be to increase some density in the downtown, where you have developers coming in and replacing some of these things, because it's worth it to revitalize and make it a place where people want to be. And that's what we've seen. That's what's been successful in other cities that have faced similar issues.
So you've been on the council for a few years now.
This is my 4th year.
Can you tell us something that you're just really proud of, that you were able to accomplish so far? Some issue that you thought went really well and you had a personal effect on?
Yes, I will. One of the things I've felt really strongly about as we talk about how to manage growth is to make it easier and safer for people to ride their bikes and walk. And we had Mountain Land Association of Governments, funded a study so that we could have a county-wide master trail plan. And I volunteered to be on that committee because I care about that. And I sat on that committee, and there were 2 things that were decided in the midst of that, because we haven't adopted that plan yet, but I'll talk about that in a second. And one of them was to put that on 6 South. We were determining how to deal with, beginning. A lot of cities, once you do the first piece of a trail plan, people are on board, and then you can get some grant funding and make it continue. Well, I was the swing vote on that, and was able to get that trail put in on 6 South, and also some bike lanes on Mill Road. Now, right now, they're covered with gravel, so no one's happy about that. Yeah. But over time, as we start creating, and it's predictable, people say, oh, well, this is where this trail is going to connect, and this is where we can bike. I think it will help our community, because there are people that want to use active transportation. It's better for our health. It's better for our economy.
It's better for our traffic.
It's better for our traffic. Every time a kid can ride their bike to school and they don't have to have a mom driving carpool,
right,
all those trips, it saves. There's so many reasons why we want to do that. So that was part of it was incorporated into the failed zoning plan that we did with the form-based code. So recently I said, hey, why are we not doing something about this plan? We've already gone through it, let's keep it moving. So I was able to get it back on the council agenda, where we approved it to go to the Planning Commission. So it's something that I think is so important, and I'm trying to push. I've been to several events with Bike Utah and some of the things at the state to try and figure out how we can bring these things into our community and get some buy-in from other elected officials and make it happen.
Can you give us maybe an issue or something that didn't go as planned, or you wished would have come out differently, or something you're disappointed didn't get done that was important to you, or a situation where it didn't quite go, just to,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, I can think of one. So when I was first elected to city council, I was put on the Heber Light and Power Board by Mayor McDonald, Heidi and I. And when I came onto that board, I didn't know a lot about Heber Light and Power. I didn't know a lot about power. But there were some things that I felt like were not going the way that they should for a government service provider, a monopoly that provides power for our community. I think it's been great. I think 100 years ago when all the citizens said, let's build our own power company. We don't need to pay the rates of those big power companies. And I think that's been something the community values here. They valued frugality. They valued local control. And when we came onto that board, I saw some things that I didn't think would make the ratepayers happy, and they weren't making the ratepayers happy. And as we know, there was someone that was convicted of fraud in that organization. So my three guiding principles on that board were transparency. People should know what the salaries are, just like they do in the other government agencies. Accountability. If we raise rates, people should be able to say, why are you raising rates when you're spending this money over here on salaries or on coffee or whatever? And the final one was fiscal responsibility. And there were several instances when I spoke up and when I voted in ways to reflect those priorities, and then later was kicked off the board and not able to follow through with making sure. Now I know I'm not as closely involved and don't know, but I do believe that things are better now, but I can't tell you the details like I could when I was on the board.
For those that don't know the story, when you say kicked off the board, how did that happen? Just so we clarify for people what you mean by kicked off the board.
Okay, so I just received a letter in the mail from the mayor, and he said, as the chair of the board, I have the authority to appoint and remove people from the Heber Light and Power Board, and effective immediately, you are removed from this board. And that's basically, how it happened. There were no warnings or anything. We didn't see it coming.
Right.
So that didn't go well. And maybe there was a better way we could have done it. Maybe we should have picked one battle or two battles, but I just couldn't feel good about raising rates when I knew information that I didn't think people would have been pleased with. So
to sum up, why don't you tell the voters why you think they should vote for you?
Okay.
And then also where they can find more information about you. What if you have a website or a phone number you want to give to the voters?
All right, to the voters. So I have a website. It's potterformayor.com, and I have some information on there. I have a Facebook page. You can call me. You can email me. My cell phone 435-709-1021. I'm happy to talk to anyone, really, because I feel like this is your city. This is all of our city. And I know that all the candidates care about the city. But I think we are at a crossroads where we have so many people that want to live here. And our city is going to make some big decisions in the next few years that are going to determine what this city looks like for decades to come. And it's time that we are more proactive. We've been reactive. We deal with things as they come, and we still have a great city. But if we are more proactive, if we are data-driven, if we try to bring people together to communicate, I'm committed to having town hall meetings and to having office hours. And I really think a great thing would be neighborhood organizations. I went to one for a neighborhood in the south part of town, and they were able to change what a developer was doing because they were united, they came together, and they spoke up about what they care about in their area. And as a mayor, I would be willing to come to neighborhoods and say, here's what's going on. How can we make this work? How can we balance the rights of different groups of people in this area? And I'm committed to doing that. I have the education and experience, and I'm willing, and I would appreciate your support.
Well, thanks so much. We'll have more of these in the future, and hope this helps you make a decision on the election this year. Thanks.